Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to also share, like, and comment.
Regarding activities that drive our economy, the sale of KCM to Vedanta and the sale of Mopani to IRH of United Arab Emirates. I've invited the FDD president, Honorable Edith Nawakwi, to come and help me discuss this matter. Honorable Nawakwi, welcome back to the Conversation Podcast.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank you for the effort you are putting in informing the nation on important national issues. It's a lot of time on your part. I do hope that our brothers and sisters who are always in the habit of criticizing others do understand what it takes to contribute in some way to information for the nation. Without information, you can't make decisions.
Yeah. The Mopani and KCM, I think, form some of the largest mines in Africa, some of the largest mines here in our country. If run profitably, they do anchor our economy. And the developments around them, I think, also raises similar concerns. You cannot just dispose of those assets without public scrutiny, without public attention, or without giving, especially the public, adequate information. Let's start with the issue of Mopani. No, before we go to Mopani, KCM. Government decided to discontinue matters that were in court and decided to return the asset to Vedanta. What are your thoughts about Vedanta and KCM?
I have repeatedly said that one of the richest assets that is in the hands of government is Konkola Deep. This mine is called Konkola Deep because you have to go kilometers underground to find the metals, the minerals. But technologies are changing, and it's a very, very rich asset. In fact, at its vesting, this was supposed to be a part of the development. And our future was being projected on the possibility of Konkola Deep coming into development. The development of Konkola Deep is now almost 13 years behind. So whatever projections that were at vesting the mine into Vedanta have been out of the way. You see, the challenge that we have is that some people think they are smarter than God. That's a challenge. And the sad part of it is that we have our African leaders, and Hakainde included, who have an inferiority complex. They think that anything good must come outside the continent of Africa. And as such, you cannot think that Vedanta, after being kicked out, is anything to go by. It's like you puke and you go to lick your own puke. That's basically what is happening. And I feel very sad when we comment, we are being called hoodlums. But the truth is that Vedanta is a bankrupt company. Vedanta was involved in swindling the Zambian people. And I want to say that I don't know at what point Vedanta will take over the mine, because the minute this operator walks in, Standard Chartered South Africa will walk in and liquidate the mine, because what this gentleman did, the main shareholder of Vedanta, he went to KCM and purported to have lent KCM a total of $500 million. Hardly 6-7 months down the road, the same gentleman went back to the mine and said, listen, I think they knew that they were being delisted on the London Stock Exchange, they were being delisted in India, they were being kicked out of the stock market because they are basically crooks. So what they did, they recorded that $500 million. And when they record the $500 million, They said, you must pay us like yesterday. KCM, called Vedanta, KCM and ZCCM, they then go to South Africa. They go to borrow that money. They encourage them to borrow that money to pay the shareholder. But what did they use to borrow? When you go to the bank to borrow, you must have collateral. They used the assets, all the assets of KCM, lock, step, and barrel, including Concora Deep. They went and mortgaged them to the South African bank to borrow money to pay the shareholder. And when you look at the books, you know that that was just a mere book entry, where they purport to lend the company money, then 6 months down the road, they say, can you give us back the money? We are the shareholders. If you are the owner of an asset, if you run, say, a bakery, you borrow money as a shareholder to run the bakery, to beef up the bakery, why would you record the loan?
In fact,
it's only because you are a crook.
In fact, the audit shows that they owe Standard Chartered of South Africa $700 million.
Because when this gentleman, I don't know his name, I don't even want to know his name, I feel very angry. If I saw him on the street of Lusaka, I would straight away take him to Chimbwagaila. Because what he did, that 500 million, he charged 12% per annum plus arrangement fees. So when they were recalling the money, the company had no way but to borrow all the money that they needed. 600 million plus whatever cream they had put. So within a year, in less than a year, this gentleman from India had purported given money to the KCM, gone back and recorded the loan and made a profit on a company which is supposed to be his. Totally crookery. And therefore, as we sit here, I hope that the South African bank has been paid, but this is the information that we want from Hakainde's government and his Mr. Kabuswe. To come up before you call me a hoodlum, just answer simple questions from a classroom. Has the Standard Chartered Bank South Africa been paid? Have they removed the mortgage on the assets of KCM? If they haven't, what's the structure that you have in place to be able to secure the assets? Because your successors took over KCM in order to secure the assets because they knew that there was going to be run by banks and creditors on KCM. So the best way to secure the asset was to take it and put it under what was called receivership. Now, we know last time we talked about how they've messed up. They've even taken someone from Grand Tonton to be aiding the government receiver. It's all crookery. And, for me, I listen, I try to observe, I understand. I say, why? When new presidents are being sworn in, they hold the Bible in their hand, meaning we are Christians. The Bible is a constitution. And you are saying, I swear by this constitution to uphold a lesser constitution. So your God is watching you. I wonder what happens when you swear our African leaders, where they just forget that they've made a covenant with God. I want to draw you to Proverbs chapter 6, verses 16 to 19. I shall not attempt to read, but Ambassador, please read it. And read it nicely and slowly. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 16 to 19. Mm-hmm. And and these are people who are swearing by the Bible that they shall uphold the Constitution. The Constitution requires that you secure the assets of the Republic. That's the Constitution, because the Bible provides for resources for each nation. We are bequeathed with gold, copper, molybdenum, cobalt, good waters, and you are giving chunks of land to foreigners. You are breaching the Constitution of God. So read that. Maybe from you, they can understand. They will not call you a hoodlum. If I read that verse, they will say,
what's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
6, verse 16, I think to 19. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and the person who stirs up conflict in the community.
Now, God detests liars with passion. That's why in some other broadcasts I says, don't ask me to love you. I detest liars with passion. And if by my saying that God detects liars with passion, you don't want to understand what we are saying. We are saying that the transactions which UPND government are doing, they are lying to the Zambian people. They are lying to God. Before God, they are using the Bible to lie to the Zambian people. And when you lie, what are the consequences of lying? I think you need to read Acts chapter 5, verse 1. This is a story of Ananias and Sapphira. And you will maybe understand that by what you're doing, you are actually creating your own death trap.
5, today we are dealing
1 to 11.
With Prophet Nawakwi.
I'm not a prophet. I'm just, I just in my own humble way, try to find
wisdom.
That if you want to live, the book of Proverbs provides the pathway to life. Whether you want to be a wife, a successful business person, a successful leader, it is there. Because Solomon was the richest man on earth that has ever lived, but also the wisest leader. You can be both. You can be rich. But what I see in this leadership is that they only want to be rich. They don't want to be wise. They don't want to refrain from theft. They want to steal and still be leaders. The Proverbs in the book of Proverbs, Solomon says, no, don't do that.
Acts
1 to 11.
5, 1 to 11. Now, a man named Ananias, together with his wife, Sapphira, sold a piece of property. With his wife's full knowledge, he kept part of the money to himself, but brought the rest and put it at the apostles' feet. Then Peter said, Ananias, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you've lied to the Holy Spirit and have kept yourself some of the money you received for the land? Didn't it belong to you before it was sold? And after it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? What made you think of doing such a thing? You have not lied just to human beings, but you've lied to God. When Ananias heard this, he fell down and died.
Hey?
And great fear seized all those that heard what had happened. Then some young men came forward, wrapped up his body, and carried him out and buried him. 3 hours later, his wife came, not knowing what had happened to her husband. Peter asked her, tell me, is this a price you and Ananias got the land for? Yes, she said, that is a price. Peter said to her, how could you conspire to test the Spirit of the Lord? Listen, the feet of the men who buried your husband are at the door, and they will carry you also. At that moment, she was struck down, and she fell and died. Then the young men came in, and finding her dead, carried her out and buried her beside her husband. Great fear seized the whole church, and those who had heard about the events. What are you trying to tell us with these two?
I'm trying to say that we have repeatedly said that Hakainde Hichilema and his government should tell us the truth on how much he has sold our assets. There's this lie by his minister saying that they didn't sell. When you transfer 51% shares, unless you are Kabuswe, maybe Mayor Kabuswe, you don't understand the working of what the meaning of transfer of shares is. When we were transferring shares from ZCCM, we were the shareholders, shareholders. When we were transferring shares from government, from ZCCM to say Mopani, there would be cash coming in the treasury. These people are lying. They are exactly like Ananias and his wife. And I want to explain it this way. Mopani was sold for no money to the treasury. Let me explain clearly. First, you need to understand that Glencore walked away having said they were not interested because they were being pursued in England, in wherever they were. So they tried to offload their assets because they were being followed for fraud. That was the reason why President Edgar Lungu went in. It was not a malicious takeover. They said, we don't want these assets, take them. That happened to Namibia, other places around the world. So now, when they were exiting, they had done several investments, new shafts, new developments, new smelters. Those assets are still there, meaning it was a going concern. Now, here comes my Ananias Hakainde Hichilema. He says he has found an investor from
United Arab Emirates.
Yes, but before then, he tells us that they've advertised bids, and there were 10 bidders who bid. They reduced that number of 10 bidders to 4. So we were expecting that these 4 were going to submit further bids to give us offers for the shares of 51%. We're expecting cash in the pot. Now, what does he do? He hired Rothschild. Rothschild, we are paying them we are paying them $15 million for advertising, for receiving bids, for evaluating them, for shortlisting. From nowhere, Hakainde comes with his friends from Dubai.
United Arab Emirates.
These people never bid. They never presented you to Bade. For my sisters, bushakuwa no muntu ngateshire mkusokoloka leto tubade. Kuti wayawufyo mwana wobe. Is that normal? It's not normal. So now, these people, they come from nowhere. Every day, he made 3 or 4 trips to Dubai. Now I know why he went to Dubai. He went to court someone else who had not brought to Dubai, to Rothschild, our Shibukombe. Because Rothschild was our Shibukombe. So he agrees with this Dubai company. They kept on saying, Dubai company, Dubai company. Imweti uzeni waku Dubai tiwawone wapongoshi watu. They never told us. Finally, when they hand over, then hell breaks loose. It's Delta and it's Jubilee Metals. Now, this is the Anania parallel. This is the Anania parallel. Hakainde Hichilema never advertised the Mufrila Black Mountain. He never advertised it. He goes to South Africa, gets a company called Jubilee Metals, and says his best friend, Muna Antuba, is going to be on the board. But who are these people? The Jubilee Metals from South Africa, you've heard Leon Kosa is coming in. You've heard who else is there. I want the Zambians to know that some of the other shareholders have been saying a South African brother. It's Matthew Posa. Matthew Posa was the one who tried to challenge President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, listen to the SADC politics. You are president of Zambia, you are chairman of SADC, and you're giving your assets to the one who is opposing your brother, president in another SADC country. Matthew Posa is a shareholder on Jubilee Metals. Now, he takes this Mufulira dump and says, so you people, I give you the Mufulira dump, and Muna Hantuba.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
Also be part of that. Now, then Mufulira dump belongs to Mopani. Mwaiwana diru hapa, these people from so-called Dubai, they offer for the money to purchase the 51% shares is $650 million. That is the price which, at the time that PF took over Glencore, when you look at what has been paid, the amount of metal that Glencore has sold, you should actually be saying we don't owe Glencore $101.5 billion. We owe them 650. This is what they've come to on the table, that Glencore will acquire those shares at $650 million. But
International Resource Holdings will acquire.
We are International Resource Holding through Delta will acquire our shares at $650 million. Now, I would have been very happy if my dear brother had come to Musokotwane and said, here is 650 million in the treasury of the Republic of Zambia. But the sad part is that the money which is supposed to be realized, now this whatever, the Delta and the whatever, they are saying this money is going to go in the mine as investment, further investment. It's like mwewo nangu tatua kwa tamano tule isuka kwa palakasa. It's like me renting out a house. I sell a house, and then someone says the money which I'm paying you, repair the house, but I will get the rent. This is exactly what has happened in Mopani. We sold 51% shares. The money is not going to control 99. The money is going back to do, further development work, buy equipment for Mopani. But then what's my share as a national? What's my share? Then the balance of the money, which they are saying, no, Kabusu was saying, no, there's 400 million which is coming. Ni balls. There's no way coming. 130 million is a loan. It has already been received to pay wages and other suppliers. They want to lend another 80 million. Then the 400 million, they are saying, this will be borrowed by Mopani as and when need arises to put in further investment. So the net effect, there is zero. This Ananias is telling us, we, the apostles, that, no, I brought you money, but there's no money. There's no money. There's not even a bottle of morphine at UTH. People who are dying, who need palliative care, there's not even swabs at UTH. And you take the money, you take the national wealth, you give to your friends. Now, look at how useless these people are. He takes an asset of Mopani, which is Mufulira dump, that black mountain in Mufulira. He gives to Jubilee Metals. Jubilee Metals goes into partnership with Delta. So basically, Jubilee Metals is coming into Mopani through the back door. And this is where we are saying, this is Hagainde Ichilema acquiring our assets. You can call me names, you can call me hoodlums. I'm saying, Ananias, stop it. God is going to strike you. And this is not nice. When we tell them the truth, then they begin to cook stories like, oh, she owes Investi Trust money. Oh, she owes DBZ money. You see, this is the behavior of lunatics. This is the behavior of people who have no brains. They are liars.
Madam President,
and they create stories.
Madam President, I saw when you raised the concerns on the sale of KCM, you've questioned, I think, the standing of Vedanta. Like everyone has expressed concern, Vedanta currently is not in good financial position. It has a bond, a similar like Euro bond, that it has of about $9 billion, and it's been going through its own debt restructure. The debts were due. They couldn't pay in 2023. They were pushed to 2027. Vedanta is struggling.
Vedanta is bankrupt, financially bankrupt,
Yeah.
and morally bankrupt, unacceptable and unwanted in India where they originate, and delisted on any stock exchange. So
Yeah.
where are they going to raise money? The grapevine says they approached the Minister of Finance and wanted a sovereign guarantee from us. We must guarantee a bankrupt company to go and borrow money. But when they pretended that they were putting money into KCM, it was just a book entry. So when these people say, this is how much you owe them, I am asking for an international audit on Mopani books. I am asking for an international audit on KCM. Simple. These are simple requirements. We don't need to be Apostle Peter in the Bible to ask Ananias to be honest.
Yeah.
We don't need to be that.
I was actually coming to that. So when you have raised these serious concerns about KCM and Mopani, then they are saying no, because you owe money with Investors Bank, you owe money with DBZ. Just for our viewers, do you owe these people? Of course, this is a mechanism they bring so that we stop discussing the most important issues. They go to personal attacks instead of discussing the ideas that you are raising and the question you are raising for them to answer.
You just read part of the scriptures there about someone who plans evil for another person. God doesn't like that. And I think you need to read them, John chapter 8. Because let me say clearly, this story that I owe DBZ money was concocted by Mwetwa.
The chief government spokesperson.
Is he a chief government spokesman or a chief liar? This mentally bankrupt young man called Mwetwa, he's the one who concocted that story that I owe DBZ money. Personally, individually, or through my directorship on any company that I've owned, I've never been a client of DBZ. I want Mwetwa to come out in the open, and I challenge Kalyaria. He's sitting on the books. Let him come out in the open.
The Bank of Zambia governor.
Yes.
Since DBZ is now
under his
under
office.
Bank of Zambia.
Yes, they say they are going to publish, but they can't go beyond just concocting these lies. I've never in my life owned an account at Investors. I don't even know how they would lend money. But this is them. When you tell them the core, I have said, and this arose last week when I said, you, Emenda, stop telling useless stories that we are hoodlums.
Batuka Emenda, the Secretary General
yes,
of UPND.
He said that these people are commenting on Mopani, they are hoodlums. I don't know what is the meaning of that. But you see, these are mentally bankrupt people with no intellect of any sort. And unfortunately, they can say anything. I always say this, that in the main world, sorry, Ambassador, in the main world, when you come across gentlemen who have no grey matter, they resort to the very basics of life. When it's a woman who has challenged them, that's why my sister in Kenya told them that we want to discuss things above the belt. When you challenge them intellectually, what can Batuke say? Nothing. Here are facts. Matthew Posa is a shareholder in Jubilee Metals. Go online, you find it. My question is a political question. Why would you sour the relationship between
Zambia and South Africa,
UPND and the ANC? Because those are the two ruling parties. I expect that UPND should be able to get good things for Zambia, because South Africa will always affiliate with the government in power. Why would you go? It's like President Cyril Ramaphosa coming here openly to come and finance Edith Nawakwi. What would be the message to Hakainde Hichilema and his government? That's the point I'm making. It's in politics, and these are politicians in South Africa who, other than having shares in some companies, they can't tell us what they've done to deserve ownership of a critical asset in my land like Mopani. And therefore, I was proposing, which works, that we have a Lusaka Stock Exchange. If truly you just want to raise 50 million, because this is...
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
So-called Jubilee Metals has gone to the Dubai company and borrowed 50 million. You've seen that? It's a triangle. It's a triangle. How down can you be? And I want to be heard so that these brothers can wake up. How down can you be? You find a billionaire in a Dubai, whatever, RH. Then you say, hey, here, go and lend money to Jubilee Metals. And Jubilee Metals will come and invest in the dump heap. Meanwhile, set up a cantemba called Delta here. It is a special purpose vehicle. They work in Zambia, but in collaboration with the cantemba from South Africa. Companies which never bid. This is where the story of Ananias is squarely rests on Hakainde Hichilema's head. He is facilitating theft, looting, and taking our country backwards. But moving forward, are we going to continue, generation after generation, handing over our prized assets to foreigners? This is an era where the prices of metal have gone so high. This is a time when you could have gone to the same Dubai IRH or whatever this name is, and said, you are a big buyer of copper. Can you put 200 million on the table? And in the next 6 months, because our shaft is just sitting there, we can process the dump heap in Mufrila. That same 50 million which is being brought in as shareholders' equity should have been money to prepay for processing of the dump heap and deliver copper and cobalt to the person whom Hakainde has structured a deal like he's buying cattle in the plains to say, give me this cattle, I'll repress it. He could have gone there and said, the dump heap requires $50 million. There's maybe 2% copper in there. It will take 6 months to process and put the system there. And can we do price? We call them forward contracts.
Madam President, Article 210, Article 2 of our Constitution is very clear.
It's very clear.
Any sale or transfer of major asset of our country, and they've been defined, shares or actual asset must go to Parliament. I think this is as a result of our people's experience in the 90s, where major assets were sold and were rushed. And to protect our people and to protect ourselves, we introduced that clause in the 2016 Constitution that if any major asset of our country is being sold, can Parliament vote on it 2/3 majority? All these questions you're asking, like who is International Holdings, who owns International Resources?
They would be answered in the House.
They'll be answered in the House. Who is Jubilee Metals, who assigned this joint agreement with Mopani?
Hey.
Where is the money that they are paying us? They're saying they are paying 1.1 billion. They are saying 400 will go to Glencore and the 600 has to be invested in the mines. These questions, if they had followed the law, would have risen in Parliament. But they've denied an opportunity.
This is the point I make. There's an allegation that we owe Glencore 1.5 billion. Tell me how Glencore has accepted 400. You get my point? Yeah. I have been saying, maybe I'm not very clear, that Glencore collected their money. Glencore has been paid. Some of the suppliers to Mopani were paid by government. The debts owed by Glencore to some suppliers, the government was dismantling them. So you cannot say we have cleared so much owed to Glencore. That's a false accounting. That's why I've been calling that we need auditors. So no, now that money...
Yeah, in fact, the facts are very clear. Government lent in 2021 ZCMIH $150 million to pay Glencore. From 2020, when the asset reverted to Zambia and ZCMIH accumulated 100% shareholding in it, Glencore has been selling our copper.
As agents.
For the last 3 years, how much have they earned? They're only willing to accept $400 million because they
they've
know
recovered.
they've recovered the money.
But stupidly, Kabuswe, Mayor Kabuswe.
Why are you calling him Mayor Kabuswe?
Because I want people to know that when you say PF is corrupt, extend it to Mayor Kabuswe. He was mayor for PF up to 2021, except they didn't adopt him. And then he jumps ship. Now he's clean like satin, like swaddling. So I want when you are accusing others of corruption, extend it to your people whom you are eating with. This is the point that we make. These people, Glencore, they should not be anywhere near the asset. But how naive can you be? These people, they say they have not sold. But the sale agreement is online. It's online. And the minister is talking rubbish because ZCCM has advertised and put it on the Lusaka Stock Exchange. This is a contract. So maybe the minister hasn't got enough education to understand what a sale or a non-sale is. Because I've heard his voice by that it hasn't been sold, it's just transfer of shares. Okay, I excuse him. He's mayor of Chingola, so I excuse him. He doesn't understand. But I expect Hakainde Hichilema to understand what a share transfer means. And rein in his minister and say, don't mislead the people. Don't be Ananias. Don't be Ananias. So the stupidity of the whole thing is that Glencore is supposed to be completely out of the picture. Naively, these people, they brought back Glencore on the table. They've said that when the price of copper is above $12,000 per ton, Glencore will be involved in a price participation. We had that, you remember?
Yes.
When the price was $2,000, we said, if should it go beyond $4,000, then we sit at the table and say, hey, you were only expecting $2,000, now it's $4,000. Let's look at the costs and let's share here. It was taken out. Now, it's okay for a foreign company to be involved in a price participation clause. Who is supposed to have gone? Who was, transfer pricing? The challenge with the Glencore, they are heavily involved in transfer pricing. That was a lawsuit in England and other places because they say you are swindling the developing nations who are supplying metals. Glencore would bring a company and say, this company is supplying turbines, for example, for pumping from underground. But the supplier is their own company. They mine the metals, they are the transporters, they process, they transport, they sell. In Switzerland, when you get to Switzerland, they are the buyers. So they were doing transfer pricing. So that was the case that was being preferred against them. Now, these people, they still want them on the table. There must be a lot of sweeteners in the context of Anania, which we are not able to see. Hey, Anania, is this a price of Mopani? Yes, it's a price of Mopani. Shut up. You people, you don't know anything. You hoodlums. You borrowed money from DBZ. The question is, Anania, is this a correct price? This asset, Mopani, can be the backbone of our nation. If we have a smart leader, if we have a leader who is selfless, if we don't have an Ananias in the office, Mopani can be the backbone because we don't need to do anything on Mopani. If you think that you can go to NAPSA, take $600 million and put on the road for 3 years, you can actually sit and do financial planning with that $600 million. You can take 250. After all, they are only putting 130. You can take $250 million, put in Mopani, it starts operating. If you need further money and take the money from NAPSA and say, okay, we'll pay for what it takes to do the road in 1 year. This money, let's put in Mopani and generate money. Because immediately you put cash there, you start generating money. Immediately you put money on the Black Mountain, you start generating money. That money can be available for the hospitals, for the roads, but the challenge which I see is what you and I can see. If Hakainde doesn't answer the reason for giving away the Black Mountain to his friends, Matthew Posa, and I've challenged them, let him say whether this Leon Kotsi and Matthew Posa have not been to community house. Let him say. For all I know, there are regular visitors there. Muna Hantuba is his personal friend. They are like foreigners.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
They are like phone and SIM card. One is a phone, one is a SIM card. So he has basically taken an asset of Mopani given to his friends, and through the so-called JVC, they are all shareholders in Mopani, because Delta is the subsidiary company of the so-called financier who has financed Jubilee. Jubilee is a joint venture with Delta. So, zinopindirana. This for me is where I lose the respect with these guys. They have no mercy. They have no empathy for the nation. They have no interest for Africa. And leaders like this cannot even deserve to be called LEADA. You are not a leader. You are just Ananias. You be smited, read your Bible. Maybe you conclude by going to tell them that God hates liars. John chapter 8. Read for them. I was searching and said, why do we swear by the Bible?
John chapter 8.
You are in court, you swear by the Bible. You are saying, I'm going to tell the truth. And the Bible is saying, don't tell lies. I hate you. Please.
John 8 verse 44 says, you belong to your father, the devil.
Hey.
And you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding on to the truth. For there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language. For he is a liar and is a father of lies. Yet because I tell the truth, you do not believe me.
That's self-explanatory. Why is Hakainde withholding information? Because he's lying to us. And when we call him liar, we cannot call him by any other name. If you lie, if you tell the truth, you are the Lord's son. If you tell a lie, you are the devil's agent. You are the devil's child. So, lying to us that you've got investment from Dubai, when in fact you are setting up a company with your friends from South Africa. And I always ask, what is the role of Valentine Chitaru? Because he's like the official advisor to the president on privatization of the mines. He was the chairman for ZPA. You recall that? Hakainde was the consultant. So now they've met. They've never separated. Whichever company you look at which they run together, whether it's Aflac, it's Muna Antuba, Valentine Chitaru, Hakainde Ichirem. Whether you go to Benefit Consulting, it's Muna Hantuba, Valentine Chitaru, Hakainde Ichirem. Whether you go to Sanlam, they will cover this in some other names and say, no, this company doesn't belong to them. They want to tell you that, no, if I say Jubilee Mentors, then I shouldn't say Matthew Post. That's how they transact. When I go to Sanlam, Hakainde Ichirema, Valentine Chitaru, Munakupia Hanto. Now, honestly, these are not your father's resources. These resources belong to the people of Zambia. And in another life, these resources will be your witnesses. Because you must remember that when God made earth, he put different resources in different places. In the DR Congo, we have cassiterite. We have other precious minerals. They are witnesses for the Congolese people. And when I say witnesses, God will ask our copper when the minerals, because when the children of Israel were crossing the river, said, stop there and pick up 12 stones. These will be your witnesses. When he says, these will be your witnesses, it's not like he's going to put you in. He will ask the witnesses, the stones, the copper. I put you in Zambia. Did you do a good job for my people? Did the people in Karikiriki get clean water? And the copper will say to God, no, sir, my dear father, I was given to foreigners who looted me for the benefit of their nations. Then God will say to Emerald, hey, Stone, come here. Did you do a good job? No. I was being exploited by other nationalities other than Zambians. Are you telling me that today, if these people really wanted to develop our nation and they wanted money, we could fail? If we can raise $650 million to put on a road, and then also even in that road, structure special purpose vehicle, the owners of whom are Hagainde's friends, our Mwandi, Mutwerereko, Tatu Abapataba brother, we just see greed, unbridled greed, the insatiable appetite to call themselves millionaire at the expense of Zambian people. There's absolutely no way you can take money from NAPSA, put on a road, and instead of giving the road development agents to collect the money, if you think they don't qualify, put ZRA there. Instead of doing that, you give to your best friend, your finance manager, the one who financed your campaign for 25 years to collect money. ECAO left toll gates. The most lucrative toll gates in this republic are between Lusaka and the Copper Belt. And Hakainde Ichilema has handed that already before the road is being even constructed to his friends. You know, this kind of greed is dangerous to the state. It's called corruption. This endemic theft, this is endemic corruption, is so bad. When I was Minister of Finance, I took over a structure from my late elder brother, RDS, Ronald Damson Pence, who had taken over from our elder brother, late Emmanuel Kasonde. We said to World Bank and IMF, this program of restructuring, we don't have money. We can't pay consultants. So we got grants. That's how you had the Harvard boys. That's how you had Rothschild. But Hakainde is telling me that the people on a treatment in UTH have to look for iodine and swabs to get themselves supported in the surgical ward. And he's able to give Rothschild $16 million as fees from the treasury. He's able to give Lazard $45 million for restructuring the debt, the Eurobond. Isn't it Barry? Do you remember what Barry said? Yeah, when the then Minister of Finance, Dr. Wadyangandu, hired the same Lazard for $5 million to restructure the Eurobond, they said they'll cancel it, is theft. Hakainde is paying a staggering $45 million to restructure the same quantity of Eurobonds. And we are going to even pay more money. There's nothing that they have done here. So the same company, but the same work, he's moved from $5 million, which PF wanted to pay, to $45 million. What can I do with $45 million in Kalikiriki, Chaisa, I mean in these peri-urban clinics? Honestly, mule kwato oluse kuba na baba nenu, mweba ledi ya kwa mistake, mule kwato oluse kuba na baba nenu, abantu bale from street, abantu, you know, the anxiety in people, the suicide rates in our nation have risen to untold proportions. We have never had so much violence in our community that has risen because of the hardship put on the people by the state through these badly thought through programs. They don't think about the political and economic ramifications of what they are doing. For him, it's just, no, I'm the first. You are the first. When you take $45 million plus 16, that's over $60 million given to consultants. If you are smart and you think Edith is not smart, Show me how smart you are, because I'm challenging you that for us, even for petroleum, when we were restructuring, we used to get drawback. You pay for a shipment of 90,000 metric tons. As long as...
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
Where you are allowed, because we're under stress, where you are allowed to present your bills and they pay you back. That's what we are doing ourselves. Basically, we were not paying for petroleum products. Because when I went to Ministry of Finance, I found that we were using copper. And what I'm saying can be done. Bashamtete is not anywhere. He's around here. Talk to him. We were buying, every month, we are putting aside 5,000 metric tons of copper. In Mitsui, who was our buyer. And we told them this money goes to a bank account. When we need to buy petroleum, this is the money we pay. When I looked at that, I discovered that when you want to raise a letter of credit, there is a rate of credit which is 90 days on site. And your money is sitting. I realized I was borrowing my own money. So I said, no, come on. This money, every month we put $5 million, 5,000 tons worth of copper into cash. So when the copper arrives at Missouri, they pay. By the time we need a letter of credit, we have cash. And then because we advertise for competitive tenders, check with Washington. I am one of rare ministers who presented bills for Ministry of Finance, and they were retroactively financed. Retroactively financed means if I paid 20 kwacha, I go to Washington to the World Bank and say, here is my bills, can you pay me back? And they pay me back the money. So I'm accumulating money in the account. That's why by the time I left the ministry, I left enough cash in the account. So now, you are businessmen, you are smart kids. Sure, demonstrate it in action. Don't just talk. Demonstrate, because if you are smart, you should know that our shares in Mopani are not for sale. You can actually get money now. Everyone is looking for copper. Everyone is looking for cobalt. Everyone is looking for silver.
In fact, the price is predicted to go beyond $12,000 soon.
So they will be paying that money to
That's why Glencore can confidently put that in the clause. Because it knows the price of copper.
It's going to go to 20,000.
Yes, it's going to go nothing but high. Let me ask my last question. This was a special program.
Don't ask me the last question. Because, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
When I was minister, there was cobalt. Do you hear any story of how much we are earning from cobalt? Zero. I asked this question at another forum. They told me that Kansanshi doesn't produce cobalt. I said, where is the I said, you're talking, these UPND people, where have they come from? From the bush or where? Cobalt is a twin sister of copper. I don't know what metal you find before cobalt. It's gold, molybdenum, cobalt, copper, silver. Those metals occur in that order, together. They are twin sisters. And God, look, it's not just Kasensedi. It's God in the mines. But you know what is happening? These miners, if you go to some province, northwestern, there are international flights landing and taking off to other countries. It's like what was happening in the Lower Zambezi, where people just land, park wildlife and fly off. Are we so down? Zambians should say, I think you, our brothers, are not doing us a favor because you look like you are locked in poverty mentally.
Yeah.
So you can't think, because right now, copper is the best metal on the market. And therefore, you don't need to get to sell your shares. You just need to do forward contracts. You go to this one, I'll deliver 20,000 metric tons in September. Give me $50 million. You go to, people want forward contracts for 2 to 3 years ahead. They can pay today. It's like out growers. When you want to get soya beans, you pay. You deliver fertilizer, You deliver the inputs, you say, mukanipa seko soya. Nagopa ndimo mene tungachitire baba. Mwevo, muri anzeru, please. Listen to us vipuba, vihudram.
In fact, Madam President, this is what I was coming to as we begin to close. For the first time in the last 60 years, both KCM and Mopani were 100% owned by government through the CCMIH, with the prospects that copper is going to go but high. Why did we decide to actually even look for equity partners or sell at all? If, for example, NAPSA and Workers' Compensation Fund can produce $600 million for a road, wasn't there mechanisms to allow ZCMIH to run the two mines? ZCMIH is a company listed in Lusaka, in London, and in Paris. Couldn't we allow ZCMIH to raise the kind of money these so-called investors are bringing?
We could. I have demonstrated in this discussion that the underlying theme is that of Ananias in the books of Acts of the Apostles. The concept that you want to always to hide the true value of the assets. That's what you read in the Bible. He goes to the apostles and says, I want to contribute to the work of the mission of the spreading the word. I'm going to sell my farm. No one asked him to sell the farm. Exactly like Hagainde Ichilema. If we were given an opportunity to discuss openly, without being shrouded in secrets of, I know I'm going to, we would have made these suggestions. If we say to ourselves, beyond us, we don't have colors. We don't have political parties. Beyond us, we are Zambians. We are bound by one umbilical cord called Zambia. Beyond us, no one, no foreigner, no one from Mali would develop our emeralds for ourselves. West Africa is boasting of superb 5-star hotels. When you walk around there, they say the money came from Zambia. Zambian emeralds, Zambian suglite. So it's like we have an underlying case. And it starts from where we are, the deep schisms between us. When I talk, I'm a hoodlum, I'm a borrower, I am Jezebel, I am this. So there's no time devoted to intellectual gymnastics where we can say, where's the Shamtete? Let's go and find out what he thinks about Mopani. When I was Minister of Finance, I'm not a miner. I never went to the London Royal School of Mines. I never went there. I went to Imperial College of Science and Technology on environment and energy. But you have the Sixtus Mlenga. Look at the superb report that Dr. Mlenga produced on KCM. And did he produce it alone? If he needed a metallurgist, he went to... there are enough resources, human resources in this nation, but we don't want the leader who, unfortunately, we cried for and we were given, is such that he's a proper Ananias. He doesn't want to discuss development for the nation. And the tragedy of the whole thing is that you and I understand, you and I know that these things are doable. But if I'm an economist, I shouldn't pretend to be a miner. And that's why when I was Minister of Mines, when Anglo-American called for a meeting with us as A shareholders, that they wanted to put ZCCM under receivership. Mind you, they were the big shareholders for the entire ZCCM. Mm. They wanted to call and say,
what's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the Source. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
For us, this country, there's no future. Just put it under liquidation. What would a simple girl from Kalingalinga University do? Did I have the mining experience to push these people off the desk, not to liquidate our ZCCM? We wouldn't be talking about mines now if I'd gone along with that proposal. I simply went to the copper belt for 1 week of tutoriology. The engineers put me in a room, mine by mine, Minister, please, don't accept these bullies to liquidate us. These are the assets. The challenge here is investment. If we can get investment, we can get here. This mine, they are telling you that it has 3 years to go. This mine has 20 years. Which mine has closed since we privatized almost 30, 40 years ago?
In fact,
Zero.
when privatization was taking place, there were reports that there was no life in those mines.
There were no lives.
In fact, the biggest life that was given was only 15 years.
15 years. So which mine has closed because there was no life? But what Anglo wanted was to put the assets under receivership. The way they've put investors under receivership, knowing they want to come back door and pick it up. You and I don't have money to go and pick up the assets of investors. Why would the governor raise the reserve ratio only to put a local bank under receivership? Why? Why? And the only people with money. So, West Africans, that's why Access has picked up our other local bank, Atlas Mara. These people are dumb. And I have no apologies. This is the dumbest government I've ever come across. Because even as a woman, I had a little bit of knowledge. I didn't understand mining. But I asked the Mine Workers Union, what do we do? Talk to the engineers. You sit with the Mine Workers Union, you sit with the engineers. They put me through 1 week of tuition. When I was in the Ministry of Finance, it was myself, the Honorable Vincent Malambo, and the government workers. There was no engineer there from the mines. But I talked like an engineer because they had tutored me. I told Anglo American, I said, get off. If you think that these mines are worth nothing, here's $1. Walk away. Would they walk away? I actually threatened them that by the time, it was Jack Holmes, by the time you get to the airport, if you walk out of my office and announce that we are under receivership, because me as a shareholder, I'm not doing that. I want us to put a technical team together to give us a report on the future of the mines, a joint technical team. And that was the announcement that day. Everybody was on tentacles waiting that when the meeting is over, there will be an announcement there is receivership. There was none. And I want to tell you, you can call me your names, but I think I'm a smart kid. Not that I knew, but I had the wisdom, the discernment to know that the engineers on the copper belt, that's their life. They went to school to learn how to mine. They are geologists. They are whatever. They will tell me. What are the problems? Madam, it's all the technology here. This mine which they are telling you is 5 years. Niboza. We just need new pumps to pump water out of Mufrila. We just need this and this. Please, please, you cannot allow these crooks to liquidate us. And that's what happened. So now, here, at the time, the price was $2,000 per ton. Here, now we reach $9,000, $12,000 per ton. We are in a better place by all standards. We don't need to beg. We don't need to borrow. We don't need to bring partners. But what we can bring, we can bring management partners. In fact, we can hire engineers to advise us.
When Honorable Kabuswe announced that, I held the press conference and announced that KCM was handed over back to Vedanta, Mr. Aniu Agao, the chairperson, the owner of Vedanta, issued a statement, and he stated that he's very pleased with the announcement in Zambia, but sadly said he will take the assets of KCM to shore up, his investment, his difficulties.
That's what
he
is
was
happening.
Talking about. Then he said Konkola Deep, has reserves worth over $200 billion.
Of course. I have said that's the richest asset we have.
So you feel sad that, first of all, we're giving back Vedanta to use our assets.
But Vedanta has already started soliciting for someone to buy their shares. And those were in our hands. Why wouldn't we ourselves take those shares, take maybe 30%, go on since the system is listed, we go on a London Stock Exchange and raise capital from there. Okay, Mr. Kabuswe won't understand. when we list 30%, different people will buy. It doesn't mean we still own them. We have sold that 30% to get the money. When we finally mine and start making profit, we pay dividends to those people. If you bombeka, mweva meya imweshua. Ngata mufishibe mwaipusha. We understand.
There is a fear.
There is limited in exposure of certain people.
Honorable President, there is fear that the president and his team might begin to sell our assets. There is a genuine fear.
No, but they've sold NAPSA. Assets have been sold.
So,
they advertise. It's in private hands. They are raising this money to put on the road from liquidating assets which Super Kenny left and built.
Yeah. So out of 33 portfolio, which are under IDC, state-owned enterprises, where the president is chair, 13 in the year 2023 made losses, among them DBZ. And we have seen what has happened to DBZ, where now it has literally been closed by the central bank. We have seen what has happened to Invest Trust. Invest Trust is our asset because ZCMIH in 2010 bought out, I think, 71% shareholding from the private investors. Two companies are underway, literally closed. Then you have KCM and Mopani that were 100% owned by us through ZCMIH, also now privatized. Is this fear genuine that by the end of 5 years, maybe ZESCO will be dismantled?
It's not even a fear, it's a reality. I want to answer this way. This is the highest show of incompetence by a sitting president. Because there's absolutely no need to put Invest Trust under receivership. Okay? Because government has deposits. Government also is a client. So why is government banking with Stanbic, with Access? Why not bank with their own institutions? Why would you have ZICB struggling to raise money when you are a deposit holder yourself? Because, in my time, you said the bank of first choice was Zanam.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
You find that you can't sit there as Musokotwane, raise the reserve ratio, and your own bank, which is chaired by the president, is going under. And what are you going to say to the other operators?
In fact,
it shows the highest level of incompetence and ineptitude.
Since 1st February, one of the monetary policy issue that central bank issued was what they called zero balance policy.
How?
Where they pulled out all government money by state-owned enterprises, by ministries, by provinces, by agencies like ZRA, and they retreated all that money to the central bank.
But
in fact, some of the difficulties that you are finding in banks raising that statutory reserve is because the central bank has
become a commercial bank.
Has removed all the money that ministries keep in the banks and they've taken it to the central bank. So I was just buttressing your point that, for example, if a Invest Trust bank, which is your bank as government through ZCMIH, you know that you can tell ZRA that these deposits, the next 3 months, put them there to shore up their liquidity, and the bank survives. But where are they
banking? Look at this situation. Because we have not improved on the capital requirement for setting up a bank, I think it's still 10 million. At some point, it was $2 million. I'm saying 10 million in Kwacha. I haven't just checked. But, so when a local bank is distressed to raise 10 million Kwacha, the only people who can raise that money are foreign banks. Because it only takes $500,000 for Access Nigeria to transfer to Zambia and buy Atlas Mara. But these are our institutions. This is where we can go. And the foreign players, whether in mining, in banking, any sector, when the chips are down, they pack their bags and go.
What are your last words, Mama? I brought you for a special program on Mopani and Konkola.
My last words are this. when God created earth, he put us in specific locations for a purpose. You are a leader, Hakainde Ichilema, at this point in time for a purpose. Stand up, give direction to where this nation should be in the next 30 years. Forget your appetite to do personal business while in office. And this idea that you can get business people to your house and think it's by the cover of night, my brother, it's a noose for you. I want to say, this...
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
Term should be the very last, the very, very last, when a leader leaves office and is being shepherded to the cells. I want it to be the very last. I want to say, let us have honor for our past president. And equally, that's why I'm so clear when I'm talking about Hakainde's leadership, because I want him to enjoy his retirement. But when the call is made, even if it is not before a commission of ACCA, even if it's what I dream that maybe we can just bring people to a commission of inquiry and say, how much money did you make from the Mufrira dump heap? Even if it has to be that, I don't want my president to be found wanting. I don't want him to be found wanting. And when I say, stop getting private visitors to your house to transact and construct deals, it is with love and care for my country. It is with concern for your retirement and your future. And therefore, the story of Anania needs to find a home in your heart. You are a Christian, you saw by this Bible. Be honest to the people who put you in that office.
Thank you very much. Our dear viewers, we're hosting on a special program Honorable Edith Nawakwi, FDD President, former Minister of Finance, and she was former Minister of Energy, distinguished career in public service. I thought we could take time and just discuss the issue of KCM and Mopani. I hope that you were enlightened. And Madam Edith Nawakwi, thank you for coming and for coming at such a short notice. I hope that this will enrich our debate and will compel government to make all these documents public, and will compel government to realize that these are national assets. They are our family silver.
Yes.
And we have a duty and right to ask these questions. They shouldn't call us bitter that we owe money to who, only because we're asking questions on behalf of our people. So with those few words, I would like to thank you. God bless our country. God bless Zambia. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, JQ, and turn on the notification bell, cause I'm gonna see you in the next video.